change management is a big portion too, right? You can have the best solution there is out there, but you have to change. People have to change along with that, and understanding some of the cultures, some of the resistance to that change and why, and how do you start to work through that to support them is important as well. So I look at it like, even though we're technologists, we're also business people, because it starts there and you have to understand it, because now technology is so integrated within the business process.
So true. Thank you everyone for joining us in our studios today for another episode of Navigating Technology with Zeal. Every episode, we try our best to bring a cutting-edge industry leader to the table so they can share with us their experiences, their challenges, their journeys, and we can all collectively as a community grow together from all that wisdom and knowledge. So again, today, we are attempting to do that. And as I say pretty much in every episode, so honored, so humbled that our guest was even able to find time for us today. We have an enterprise technology leader in our offices today whose career spans over 30 years. You heard me right. And she has been in the industry from CPG, which is food and retail, or telecommunications. She's been on the business side, she's been on the tech side, she's been on the operations side. She's also the Dallas Business Journal's 2025 Women in Tech Awardee winner. She's a board member for Hope Plus Tech, and I am super excited to welcome in our studios today, Cynthia Dixon. Cynthia, thank you so much for being here today.
Well, thank you, Rashmi. Thank you for inviting me, and I appreciate the opportunity to come and connect with you and discuss today.
Absolutely.
Excited about that.
We are so happy to have you here. I have been going over the list of potential questions to ask, and it keeps growing longer the more I think about it. So thank you for the time. I'm going to start with letting you introduce yourself to our audience, telling us about what you do and what your career in tech has entailed so far.
Absolutely. So Cynthia Dixon, as you mentioned, enterprise technology leader with over 30 years of driving IT strategy and operations. Over the years, I've had the opportunity to lead digital or large-scale operations, digital transformation, and modernization efforts, and global cross-functional teams. And throughout my career, I focus on bringing technology and people together to deliver real, measurable business outcomes. So that's kind of more of what I've done. I'm excited to be here. I've had a rewarding career and excited about that.
My brain is stuck on the global technology teams, cross-functional global teams. What exactly did that entail?
So that entailed, it's probably one of the most things I'm most excited about. When I took over leading global operations and sustain for our commercial and consumer platforms, that entailed bringing over 200 applications together across the globe.
Did I hear that right? 200?
200, over 200. And it wasn't so much as even just to keep the systems up and running. It was really to transform how we think. So we're talking about scaling teams. We're talking about implementing true IT service management processes to really harden those. We're talking about entering observability so that going forward, it's not just about, identifying issues.
Right.
It's how do we predict and prevent the issues from even impacting our business and the customers. And it's also, of course, uptime and system availability, but bringing in those individuals across the globe and different styles, different cultures, different perspectives. But I think back to one of my mentors, what they told me is how you do that.
Right.
Is you have to think about people follow leaders who have a vision as to where they're trying to go. Right. And people follow leaders who show them that they need them to get there. And the vision was not just to bring in operations as a support-only function, but to show how operations was really a strategic partner to our business and the direct impact that we had on our business by providing insights, making sure we improve that uptime and reliability for our business and our customers. So I think when people got that and they had ownership, they were excited about it. So, and this was across North America, LATAM, so China, so EMEA, India, so Mexico. It was an exciting opportunity, and like I say, very excited about that and that accomplishment.
I think you said when you were describing that, not just fixing issues, but identifying, predicting, and solving for them before they happen.
Yes.
So I think we're just done with the podcast. Now, that in itself is the life of a true tech leader, a true technologist, right? Is that's our whole career is right there. All that passion, just hearing you talk about it, what is the driver?
For me, it's bringing, again, people and technology, because we've seen some amazing changes through technology throughout the years.
Yes.
But it's the people and the technology to truly drive and accelerate the business impact and value, not just deliver cool solutions, because we can deliver cool solutions all day. If it's not impacting the business in a positive way to move it forward, then basically we just kind of spent money for no reason.
What is the business problem?
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. You have to understand the business problem and the business objective. What are they doing? How are they running? And sometimes too, that's where too, even though we're technologists, I still feel like everything starts with the business. Right. And you have to understand that, and you do that not just by reading the surface level things, but getting out, connecting with the streets, so with your markets, going and visiting markets, hearing from the customers and the consumers, hearing from the people on the front line. That's what makes a difference into how do you truly provide technology and transformation that really helps propel them forward. It makes their lives better.
So when you were helping with these operational changes through the global
Yes.
cross-functional teams, were you visiting these?
Absolutely,
Wow.
absolutely. So, because if you don't, and we had some good insights in going to visit too.
Right.
Some of the things, like when you think about it, we had a B2B solution. So it's great in the US where iPhone is probably more prevalent, but outside the US, Android is used a lot more often.
Right.
And when you start to get to some of these other areas that may not be, it may be at a lower economic status, even the performance on those phones are
Right.
not as well. So you have to know that, and you have to design solutions to meet that. But you don't get that unless you get out there and you visit and you see some of the challenges and the things that they're encountering, and how do now we tweak this and make this better to help.
So you enmesh yourself in those cultures,
You
with those
have to.
people with their problems.
You have to. And when they get that and they understand it, because change management is a big portion too, right?
Right.
You can have the best solution there is out there, but you have to change. People have to change along with that, and understanding some of the cultures, some of the resistance to that change and why, and how do you start to work through that to support them is important as well. So I look at it, like you say, even though we're technologists, we're also business people, because it starts there and you have to understand it, because now technology is so integrated within the business process.
So true. I want to touch a little bit more in depth with that, right?
Okay.
And I want to talk about how technology has changed.
Yes.
But before we do that, from a personal journey standpoint,
Yes.
let's go back in time.
Okay.
How did Cynthia pick technology as your career, or did it pick you?
Actually, so I picked technology, and I'll tell you, I actually became interested in technology my sophomore year of high school.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you heard me right, high school. So I think about my dad and I were having a conversation, and at first I was like, yeah, I want to be a doctor, and he's like, you get a little squeamish at the sight of blood. That may not be the best career choice for
Right.
you. So he was like, how about computers? Computers are the way of the future. You can have a great career within that. I was always great in math, enjoyed problem solving. So I was like, well, let me try it. So I actually, took it as an elective my sophomore year.
That's
I
when they
loved
had a
it.
computer lab. You
That's
needed
when
to
they
do.
had computer lab.
I remember those.
We had mainframes, but we also had our first
Little
PCs where we were
yeah.
doing basic
Yes.
computer programming
Yeah, I
and things
remember
like that. So I was excited by it. I enjoyed it. And I took it, my remaining years throughout high school. I went on to get a bachelor's in computer information systems, a master's in technology management. And I've been in technology, like I say, the entire time, but always with a business emphasis.
I kind of have a similar story. My first exposure was in school as well, and oh boy, when I first typed in and it showed up "Hello World,"
Yeah.
I felt like I was the first
Wow.
person to ever do it. Right?
Absolutely.
And that's when the love starts, right?
The
there.
love starts. It's like you get some instant gratification too, because you can code things to truly deliver results immediately. So that was awesome.
And then the journey from there on out. Give us a little bit of a high-level overview of the path you took.
Absolutely. So the path that I took to, so when I started, and I actually started within telecom, but I started out always coding and developing. So coding and developing, and actually was actually delivering solutions as well as supporting solutions. So foundationally, that was set in terms of truly understanding how do you deliver and support enterprise systems, and how technology impacts the scale. So that foundation was set, and understanding the importance of that. When I think of some of the things I went through throughout my career, so that was great, awesome. Like I said, I went on within the CPG industry as well, and spent quite a bit of my career there. But actually, it was starting to learn and more lead. So now you're not the one who's necessarily delivering it all. You're going into increasingly roles of responsibility where you're leading others. So that was like a milestone as well along the way, because it's a different perspective.
Totally.
From being an individual contributor to a leader of individual contributors, and how do you get them to execute and to perform. Then I thought about from a functional perspective. I started out supporting more of the back office type solutions, so especially in a leadership perspective, leading that. So when we talk about back office being like your finance, your legal, your HR type things.
Yeah.
So started out in more leadership as a senior manager and director doing that. Then I transitioned over to the go-to-market side. So a different function. And when you think of go-to-market, we're talking sales, we're talking bread and butter, direct impact to the bottom line.
Right.
Very fast-paced organization, very innovative, a lot of change, but very rewarding.
Right.
So that was awesome to actually support those two functions. And even though I didn't directly support supply chain, we saw the whole value chain and how it all tied in together. So that was extremely rewarding. And I did that a lot more for North America. And then when I went to this global role, that was another, taking it to a whole new level, to really understand not just how we do things in North America, but how things work around the rest of the world. And North America is just a small piece of this big world.
Right.
So starting to understand that and understand the growth and the opportunities, but how do you start to tailor things and connect with people on all those lines as well. So leading the global sustain and operations for those consumer and commercial platforms was another just exciting time within my career. So I think it's one of those two, setting a strong foundation and just progressively working on different functions, even if that's, taking more broad type, experience, getting more broad experience, as well as leadership experience, and then that global just kind of helped to really tie so many things together.
Right. I can tell that excitement is sort of, and passion is like an underlying feel here for you throughout your career, and is still there. But the pace at which you operated shifted dramatically from supporting the back office operational roles to the go-to-market, to then global operations. Very different animals across the way to tackle.
Absolutely.
Did you take any intentional steps, or how did you adjust the pace to accommodate these different stakeholders along the way?
Well, I think there's some core things that are just transferable, right? To your point, knowing the stakeholders, knowing that part of the business and how this function and how it supports this part of the business. How does it interact and integrate with other parts of the business? What exactly is our mandate and what do we need to do to support it? Some of those are just basic skills that you learn throughout, but so much of it is connecting with those stakeholders to understand from their perspective what's working, what's not, what opportunities, what are your goals, what are your objectives, what are your, over the next 5 years, what are you trying to do, over the next year, what are you trying to do?
Right.
So what keeps you up at night? Those types of things, you start to, but they're different based upon where you are within the organization. So truly understanding that, understanding the technology that's currently in place, and what are the opportunities, what are the limitations, what are the advantages, what are the gaps that we need to address. But it's working with stakeholders across, and I love the way you said that too about the stakeholders. So business stakeholders, it's across IT as well. So when you're talking about security, engineering, operations, product, delivery, all of us have to come together. Testing, we all have to come together to see how do we make sure we are marching toward the same goal and objective.
And then when you work for large enterprises like yourself, there's a sense of very proprietary ownership of those internal stakeholders within IT as well.
Yes.
What is your secret sauce for navigating those relationships?
I think it is understanding that at first and really listening. Some of the things we have are so basic that active listening is very important. And there are times where you may have different objectives. Many times we have the same business objective of what we need to do, but our roles and functions may play a different part in getting there. So understanding that and understand the part that we play and how do we come together toward, shared success. What do I need from you? What do you need from me? How can I support you along those lines? And so it's a give and take type thing, but it's not all one-sided. It's how can we support each other toward this shared vision and goal. But it's absolutely connecting with the stakeholders, it's understanding that and understanding their world. Sometimes you may think people are being difficult, but once you start to understand the challenges and where they're coming from, you get it. And you're like, okay, so now what do we do? How do we partner and how do we work through this?
Yeah. Spoken like a seasoned leader, and that's one aspect that AI is not quite ready to replace
yet. Absolutely.
That comes with experience.
Thank you.
And now, speaking of experience, I've been in the industry 28 years now.
Yes.
You've been in the industry 30 years. We understand what it takes to stay relevant, and because we're passionate about what we do, we love what we do, it comes very naturally, right?
Absolutely.
But if somebody from the outside's looking in, or some of our colleagues that are now looking at this really disruptive technical trends going on in the marketplace right now. What did you do, if anything, to stay relevant over the span of your career?
I'll tell you a key part of that, even being within organizations, is getting outside of those organizations, continuing to network. So really and truly, it's the executive forums, it's peer networking, understand what others are doing, because you can actually bring value and add value to your own organization by understanding that. Right. Even again, understanding from your team, they're hearing things, they're seeing things as well. So I think, and we talked about AI and how it's changing things. Wow, people are still so powerful, a powerful part of that. Right. Whereas really connecting and having conversations, having dialogue. Of course, you also count, certifications. Recently got a certification from MIT in terms of implementing AI as a business strategy, because it's not an AI strategy, it's a business strategy, but how do you implement AI as a capability to enable that? But those types of things I think are very important. Just continue to stay relevant, understand what's going on both in your company and outside your company, how outside changes, geopolitical, within the macroeconomic environment, how they're impacting your company, how other companies are being impacted and what they're doing to excel at it. But that's the piece of it. I really believe it's truly, you have a mandate, you have to deliver against that, but you also have to realize, don't be in silo, you have to work outside of that and connect with others too.
Wonderful. You can't just throw zingers out and have me tap into them, right? You said it's not business strategy, it's not AI strategy, it's business strategy. Yes. Expand upon that.
So at the end of the day, Rashmi, I believe it's all about the business. Think about it. You can have the best technologies out there. If it's not moving that business forward or adding value to that business, you just got an awesome, probably expensive piece of technology that nobody's using that's not bringing value. So at the end of the day, it's all about understanding where is the business trying to go across the industry, where are they going, how does that fit off into it, how do we keep that competitive advantage, and then how do we leverage AI, because it is a powerful capability to do that. Right. So that's what, but it's not about what's the AI strategy. Now again, AI is making some great changes. I mean, we're seeing some awesome things. Still have to be some governance as part of that as well too. Have to make sure we're implementing it responsibly, and that we're not just doing AI for AI's sake. Right. Again, it needs to be tied to an ROI in terms of what's the impact for the business. Right. Now I'm not saying, hey, so that means we do no experimentation, no innovation. Absolutely, we do that. We do it in a controlled environment. But you do it rapidly, right? So that and you make sure it's tied to what are you trying to accomplish as well as this too, or what could it potentially be bringing. But at the end of the day, when you take it to production, it needs to have an ROI tied with it, and we need to make sure we're doing it responsibly, leveraging security, leveraging governance, leveraging the right tools, explainability, removing bias, things along those lines. Like I say, it's an exciting time, extremely exciting time that we're in, but there's also has to be some governance and some guardrails that we would implement as well. Absolutely, that seems to be the theme of the moment anyways. Looking at your large enterprise, extremely large enterprise experience, international orgs, that have the budgets to spend on massive investments on whatever the shiny next new object is, right? That the board's looking for them to innovate, or they don't want to be left behind, they want to be on the cutting edge of innovation. Scalability, I've heard, is a big concern for large enterprises when it comes to AI POCs. What has your experience been with that? Absolutely, it needs to be scalable. You need to make sure you have the right infrastructure in place to support that as well. So even when you think about just cloud services, failover, do you have high availability in place? And also tailoring that as well too, because you can go too far on the end where it's like, hey, this is where we want to be, but let's pay for what we need now and continue to scale as it grows. That's very important. It's also important for, even though companies may have a larger budget, every company is focused on productivity and making things more efficient, especially considering today's day and age. So those are the things that are always top of mind to ensuring we have the right things, the right technology and underlying in place. What's the ultimate goal? How do we structure this correctly so that it continues to scale as our business continues to grow? And it has to be top of mind. You really need to make that top of mind. So even as we're talking about engineering things on the front end, not waiting till it's in operations mode to think about those things. So you're in our sweet spot of guests, right, that have that strong IT operational background and combined with a strong technical background as well. So if you had to come up with a playbook of successful AI implementation for projects that kind of span those areas, what would that look like? So if I had to come up with a playbook, I would definitely say, again, as we're looking at your technology that's underlined. So, thinking about how much it's going to cost and how much it takes to run this thing.
Yes.
Understanding that, and again, scaling it, making sure you're putting the right infrastructure in place so that as the business grows, you can scale it. So don't pay for more than what you need at a certain point in time.
Right.
You do need to have, again, think about the business, and I look at AI more from a strategy perspective. It should be embedded into your day-to-day workflows. So low-hanging fruit, we shouldn't be doing a lot of these manual tasks that we're doing.
Right.
That's low-hanging fruit that absolutely can be done. Then maybe you pick one or two strategic implementations. Maybe digital twin is one. So you think about something along those lines, like, okay, that's a bigger initiative.
Right.
But wow, the value it would bring to the business in terms of now having a simulated environment that we can actually put something in prior to putting it out there in production to the masses could add, it could save the business a lot of heartache if it doesn't work well, and you get the opportunity to tweak and make it the way so it works. But those types of things, and having the right governance, so ensuring that whatever we put in place, you have to have security involved to make sure we're doing things right. You have to make sure that the bias, there's no bias within the product or the solution as well too. And you have the right governance just to make sure that we're checking the right things so that as we're implementing AI, we're doing it responsibly.
Right. So looking at when we just did releases in production back in the day to then what we called like a sandbox environment and a pre-prod to now digital twins, right? There's
truly replica of your production environment.
Right?
Absolutely.
So now that kind of highlights where technology has moved to and where we stand today and what leaders have to contend with.
Right.
So if you were to look at our colleagues today that are looking to either implement an AI strategy or that are looking to maybe do a career shift into AI. You've got those eager adopters, the reluctant adopters, you've got people on that spectrum of, what advice do you have?
And I think it's important to know who those are too, because even if you're eager to do it, you still have, and some of your key stakeholders may not be an early adopter. They may be very resistant to it.
You may have different groups within the same.
Absolutely. You could even have different players within the same group who think differently.
Right.
I still believe it goes back to some of our core things where it's like, and you do it in smaller chunks. I don't think you go, start to build the momentum and create wins so people see the value of it, but also connecting with those individuals. Understanding if they're reluctant, what's going on in their mind? Why are they reluctant? I'm reluctant because it may take my job. Right. I'm reluctant because I could become obsolete. I just don't trust this thing.
Yeah, I've coded this way for 20 years. It's worked great, and
so
now you think,
But I would absolutely say times are changing. AI is here.
Right.
And will AI replace some jobs? Yes, it will. It will replace. I think others will be created as a result of that as well too. But I also think the biggest challenge is those who don't adopt it are probably going to be the ones who are left around, and they will be replaced with people who do. It is important. It's important to acknowledge your fears and work through it. And how do we put those safeguards in place I don't trust it? Well, let's have some explainability out there. If it came up with a solution, give me your links to help me understand how you came up with that answer.
Have it be a transparent environment.
Exactly, very transparent environment. So understanding what those concerns are and how do we put the right things in place, because they're valid concerns.
Right.
How do we put the right things in place? And as we learn and we grow, because there may be times you don't get it all right at first, how do you tweak it and how you continue to make it better as we have those learnings along the way? But I believe that adaptability and continue to change, I see how it can be scary, but it also can be exciting. So like I say, you move forward, but you also move forward with the right, mindset, guardrails, make sure you look at the right, and asking the right questions and the tough questions to validate that what we're doing is still the right thing to do.
Yeah, I love the tagline, AI, scary, exciting. There's so many good pieces of information in that conversation, but I feel like adaptability is where you draw the line, because either you're with the program or you're not, and in this time and age, AI is here to stay, like you said. It's already replacing jobs. It's not a hypothetical in the future.
Absolutely.
And so we can either ride the tide and use it to our advantage or get left behind.
Get left behind. Absolutely. And I love the way you framed that up, because that's absolutely right. Ride the tide and use it to our advantage, or you will get left behind, because it's here and it's not stopping.
Right. Now, speaking of, the resistant aspect of it, knowing that large enterprise have some large number of legacy platforms.
Yes.
And systems that even when cloud came out seemed obsolete, right? There's still mainframe environments out there that are running and in production, and they're running mission critical, high risk environments that that have been run for years effectively on those platforms. Having worked in large enterprises and then going out and operationally adding efficiencies to global operation, what are your thoughts around updating legacy platforms to be more AI enabled?
And that's part of that modernization effort. So it's one of those where you really have to say, do you update it or do you replace it with something? Many times in large enterprises, what you see is like, wow, we got 10 systems to do the exact same thing.
Right.
Do we need all 10? Or should we consolidate and make it more, but also making sure it's integrated into the ecosystem. So it's not operating out there. Those are the
ones that fail, the 92%.
Exactly. Yeah. So making sure too that it's integrated, and even when I talked about those applications that we're transitioning over, many of those we went through an app rationalization. Is it still being used? Getting the data, getting it on, are we still using this?
Right.
Why are we using it? Can we replace it with something else that can be more efficient? Now, as you do that, you still need to make sure the change management piece is in place, because some things can sound so simple. You stop using this system, you use this one. But you got to get out there and help people understand why. So we're going to be sunsetting this system. Here's another system, and here's the value that it's going to bring. It should deliver everything that you have within here. Sometimes it may not. You may have to do it, but that's something that we can add later. So as we're trying to go through and really make things more effective and efficient, so laying that out, and those stakeholders may say, wow, but does it do this? It has to do da-da-da.
Right.
And we can either say, yeah, it does, so we need to add that now, or that something can be later. Here's a workaround to get it done. But talking through it, that's why I think people are so important, and just bringing the right people to the table to work through it. But absolutely, from a legacy perspective, that's the modernization effort. You need to assess, really and truly, do you need to keep this system around? And you may say, hey, we need to keep it around for 5 years, and then we'll replace it with X because we got this going forward. But that transformation, because also from a security perspective, sometimes some of those legacy systems are not as secure. So you could be introducing more risk into your environment, but they need to be evaluated. And we've heard like that time, tolerate, invest. Do you invest in it? Do you migrate it to something else, or do you eliminate it totally because it's not being needed?
The build buys, all those
exactly. So those types of things are the things you absolutely need to go through and do an evaluation on. Because I think what you'll find too is more low-hanging fruit. Well, wow, we're actually running some systems that are really obsolete and no longer needed. Only 2 people are still using this system. Why are we still keeping this up? Those types of things that the decision absolutely have to be made. And I do think it's one where more and more even large enterprises are starting to assess that. I actually worked at a company where the first to sunset the mainframe environment. That was huge. So one of the first organizations to do that. Because mainframe was so powerful, right? It did. It's up for so long. It was supposed to be going away 20 years ago, so 20 years later, hey.
It's still around.
Exactly.
There's something to be said about resilience there.
There's something to be said about resilience, absolutely.
Or the resilience of the people managing those systems.
Exactly. Some of those people now, because there's few far in between who can support it, are like, really being sought after for those.
Yeah, absolutely. I know I've been in those couple of situations. Now, look, it's almost like the transformation and the modernization efforts are more complicated, and there's more at stake than if you were a startup and you were just spinning off a new product that's AI enabled right off the gate.
Absolutely.
And so it's the value there for the large organization is to have leaders like yourself who've had the experience across cross-functional teams and systems and platforms to then be able to strategize.
Absolutely.
And come up with the right roadmap.
What's the right roadmap to get us to where we want to be? And it doesn't necessarily mean, and many times it's not big bang up front. There are things that you plot out along the path. And what's the priority? And really, which ones are the most risky? Which ones are the most expensive? Are those the ones that are needed? So you go through a different criteria to evaluate it, like you say, to strategize where it fits on that roadmap.
Right. And then, you've got that side of the equation, then you've got the people side of the equation, the people that are invested in those.
Absolutely.
And then you've got the finance aspect of it. And,
absolutely.
I feel like no concerns are invalid concerns right out the gate.
No concerns.
Nobody's saying, I'm going to sit here and be so unreasonable today. Right? Everybody starts off with valid concerns that they have that are valid to them.
Absolutely. And to your point, Rashmi, you want to listen and hear those.
Right.
Because that many times can help you as you're defining that roadmap so that you put the right things in place. Some of these systems that have been around, well, they just work.
Right.
They run and they just work, and people just like, oh, I don't have to hardly
If it's
do
not
anything
broken,
to it. Yeah.
That used to be for the longest time, right? You heard if it's not broken.
Yeah,
But that's not the case anymore.
That's not the case anymore.
Right.
But you also need to understand as it's running what it's doing.
Right.
And you think it can be replaced, but is it like for like? Is it more? So really understanding that's why no concerns are invalid. You want to hear. I think those ears are very important. That active listening to hear what are the concerns. What are people recommending? Hear it and evaluate it and make a decision.
Right. No, very true. There's a lot going on in your life career-wise, right?
Yes.
And all the immense initiatives you participated in, taken part in. But from what I saw on your profile, you're also very socially involved.
Yes.
You give back to the community.
Absolutely.
You want to tell us a little bit more about those endeavors?
Yeah, I do. So I actually serve on the board of Hope Plus Tech. Hope Plus Tech is an organization really designed to work with individuals who may be more from lower economic areas and really introducing them to tech. We partner with Google to help them get their certification and really to gain employment because we do see a shortage within the tech. I know AI is still but we still see opportunities within the cyber, within AI, within data and analytics. There's just a need that's out there. But how do we really and truly start to bring more people off into the industry so that they can truly get gainful employment and also make a strong contribution to our community?
You're training future technologists.
Training future technologists. So it's exciting. It's kind of what we do, and it's like giving back, and you feel good about that because people are eager and they're hungry to learn it. So it's going pretty well.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Full life.
Yes.
Full plate.
Yes.
All the time.
Yes.
And I know that driven A-type personalities like ourselves tend to run ourselves on the ground on a daily basis.
Yes.
What is your recalibration routine? How do you do that reset?
I'll tell you a couple of things. I keep thinking about some of the amazing people who've been in my life. It was actually, I think, Trudy Bourgeois. She was one of the, we had a session with her, and she mentored a lot of us on certain things. But she talked about if you're not having some white space even on your calendar, time to think. We can let things really.
So critical.
It's very critical. And some things you think about, especially when you're in a leadership role, do I have to be the one to do this? Can I delegate it and give someone else the opportunity to do this? Those types of things I think you have to look at. And then outside of that, it's taking some downtime. I enjoy traveling. I enjoy being with family and friends. I enjoy reading, and sometimes not always reading tech books. I mean, there are like some mystery novels I love to read, James Patterson, but different things. So that relaxes me. Yeah. It's more like take those moments to sit back, reflect, and acknowledge that you have peaks. Because when you talk about work-life balance, it's not like, oh, everything's nice and neat and it needs to be 50-50. There are times where work is going to require more. Right. There may be some times where the family is going to require a little more. But having a strong team in place to support that, you know what you're accountable for and what you're responsible for, helps to enable that. And taking time to say, you know what, I'm not a robot. I do need some time to myself. Yeah. And sometimes you need some time even away from your family. It's like, just give me some moments. I'm going to go to the spa and just, So I try to build that in at least once a month too, to at least get a massage. Right. And just get away. And my kids, and this is a little more personal, but they always, because I have no problem with going out to eat by myself. Right. But they were like, oh, Mom, that seems lonely. Don't do that. I'm like, you have no idea. I like me. I enjoy it. I don't have to worry about what I'm going to order. I don't have to, you just get what you want. Right. So I'm like, I'm good with that. But just taking that time out just to exhale and decompress. Yeah. And I think it's really important. I think so many times we underestimate it. But it's taking those times. Sometimes it can be as simple as even throughout the day. Just taking some breathing exercises, getting up, walk around that office or things like those lines. Those are very, just taking a walk, 10, 15-minute walk. Yeah. It doesn't have to be, major. Right. It's small little things we can do to help keep balance and to keep ourselves grounded.
And I like the fact that it's not something that you wait for a big vacation to do. It has to be a daily practice almost, even if it's 10, 15 minutes like you said.
Absolutely.
And next time you go and you're going to eat by yourself, you text me and I'll come sit at the table next to you and do the same, because I don't mind doing that either, and I like my company as well.
Exactly.
But something tells me that that's not how it's going to end up.
That's not how it would end up. We'd be like, hey, come over. And we still have an awesome time and decompress. So that would be awesome.
Exactly. Any advice for up and coming talent? I've started asking this new question for the last couple of guests, because I feel like I always used to advise up and coming talent that you're going to be at a crossroads. And you're going to say, do I want to be a core technologist, or am I a more people strategist person? Still in technology, but more people centric and people. And I feel like those roles are collapsing and combining, given the level of expectation of the people leaders to be more technologists, and given the expectation of the technologists to be more business oriented because of the way AI projects operate. What advice do you have for up and coming talent as they're looking at their careers and making these decisions?
I think you hit it so on the nail. When I think of some of the changes that we've seen, there was a point in time, and we, kind of the same era, we saw that technology, cost center, it's over there, we got to do it. It's so integrated into the business now. So integrated into the huge, it's truly a multiplier for the business strategy. So what I would tell as well is to have that technical depth and knowledge, but understand the business. Understanding the business is so key. And as you start out within your career, the reality of it is you probably don't know exactly what you want to do, but you probably do different roles and get the opportunities to do that. Be open to opportunities, explore different things, but always keep in mind, let me understand the business and how this business operates. What are the business objectives? What are some of the challenges? What are some of the guardrails that I need to work within? Understanding that is going to make you so much better equipped as you continue on your career journey. So I think you framed that up so well. They're so integrated today, the business and technology. You need to really understand both. And now AI and some of these other tools, automation, etc., data, it's helping us to really, on the technology piece, to understand it even better. So those types. So I would absolutely recommend that. Also, the connections, your peers,
so true.
Your your mentors, having those connections, and don't just stay within your org. Get outside your org and connect with others. Learn, hear what they're doing. To your point, don't give up any proprietary information, but you can learn just in terms of like, hey, what are some of the emerging trends? Hey, what are some of the challenges that are going forward? How you address those challenges? But those types of things I think are very important, but you get that. And that's the one thing, and we talked about that earlier, AI, it could replace it if people let it. I don't think we should let AI replace the people interaction and connection. I just don't. Although I'm hearing some people where it's kind of scary, like, oh, it's my best friend now. I just asked it and I don't really talk to anybody. I'm like, no.
I think there's some guardrails in the works for that exact same situation.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We need guardrails in the place. It's like, no. You need human connection. So.
And how many times have we been on the giving side of that, right?
Yes.
We freely give and say, what help do you need? How can I help you?
Exactly.
But then when it comes to receiving, we're all programmed. Not because we are not trusting or not wanting to reach out or better than, we just programmed to figure it like I can. But every time that you have stepped out of that comfort zone and reached out to a colleague, a mentor, a friend, even a partner. How pleasantly surprised have you been at their graciousness to extend that same help?
Extend that help and how it actually helps. It's like, oh, wow, we should have talked sooner.
Right, exactly.
So those types of things I think are so important. But that's the advice I would give. Absolutely, it's about understanding tech and the business because they are so integrated and making sure that you build those networking connections.
Build the bridges.
And the relationships.
Start early on.
And
then the other thing that you said that really resonated was try the different areas.
Absolutely.
The world's your oyster, right?
Yes.
Just try anything and everything that comes your way that looks interesting or exciting.
Absolutely.
Wonderful. Cynthia, so many good nuggets here for seasoned leaders, for people just starting out in their career, for strategists looking for advice on global operations and how to make them more efficient, how to make them more AI enabled. I feel like your experience is so spot on with that. And I really appreciate you taking the time and being in our studios today and offering all these wonderful words of wisdom. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Rashmi, and thank you for the opportunity. It's been great. Always love connecting with you.
Thank you.